Before we start, I want to kindly thank UK Rob M for buying us a cuppa since the last video. It's always appreciated. This pair don't look very happy, and why would they? They're about to spend at least 20 years inside for luring a friend to the park and then stabbing them 28 times. The poisoning didn't work that they tried earlier, and their fellow pupil was just one of many on their kill list. All very grim, and if it hadn't been for that friend who went along, it would have been someone else who is now dead. How did these two teenage boys and teenage girl, you know what I mean, find themselves in this situation? Well, let's see, shall we? Of course it's social media's fault, and it is. The rise of social media has had a massive negative impact on young people and old people too. Increased rates of depression, anxiety, and other mental health disorders like thinking you're the wrong sex. This is all due in part to the constant comparison and competition that social media has. Got to get those likes up, and if you get fewer likes the next day, well, you might as well just, you know what, but that you shouldn't. Of course, social media has its benefits. That's how we all know each other, but unfortunately it's the spurgs that it affects. So let's look at some of the social media and just how bad it's been and can be. Starting with Chinese spyware with the excellent algorithm TikTok. Chinese spyware TikTok, the home of short video clips, is the most popular social media app at the moment. Whilst it could just be 30 seconds of animal videos, recipes and speeches from 1940s European politicians, it has morphed, with women doing stupid shit, cross-dressers and other things the tribe like to push, which sadly works when people with impressionable minds are addictively scrolling. It's also a gateway to OnlyFans. Also, it's full of young kids talking about committing suicide, discussing the best ways to do it, and then showing off their scars. Thanks to an excellent algorithm, it will give you exactly what you want. If what you want is attention deficit disorder and instructions on how you can end yourself. No wonder kids are fucked up, as they're all grouped together in this depressive hole. It has also led to a killing by a TikTok influencer, which the judge blamed on TikTok and Instagram. Let's have a look. This pair look like a couple of happy TikTokers. It's mother and daughter. Back on the 19th of January 2022. However, a month later, they would have killed two men. So prior to the arrest, Mehek Bakari, unlucky with that name, had 130,000 followers on TikTok, 45,000 on Instagram, and 4,000 on YouTube. That's more than me, thankfully. And her mum regularly appeared in the videos as well, talking about makeup, dancing and whatever else women talk about. Now her mother, 3 years beforehand, had begun a secret relationship with a younger man, which only her daughter knew about. Now she only started as a bit of fun. However, Saqib Hussain, of course, quickly fell in love and then spent thousands of pounds wooing her. Now, the mother had no intention of leaving her husband, and in January 2022, she was attempting to end the relationship. Unsurprisingly, Saqib wasn't too happy about that after spending all this money on a 45-year-old woman, and turned to blackmail. How did he blackmail her? Well, during their illicit 2-year affair, they'd been taking mucky pictures during their intimate moments, and began to threaten sending them to her son and her husband. Now, with it soon becoming a nightmare, she turned to her daughter for advice. And she had the worst advice ever. "I'll soon get him jumped by guys and he won't know what day it is," she said. Now they came to an agreement that she would pay her former lover up to £3,000 for the silence about the affair, but it remained a problem because they had no confirmation that Hussain had deleted the mucky pictures from his devices. It was at this point that daughter turned to her friend, 28-year-old Rakun Karwan, for assistance. In return, he recruited a number of others who would each play their part in setting a trap for Hussain, hoping that in numbers they could force him to hand over his phone. Before midnight on the 11th of February 2022, Hussain travelled alongside his childhood friend, another Mohammed, to Leicester to meet the two women under false pretences. Now when they reached Tesco car park, they didn't get out for a meal deal because they got a bit suspicious that something was about to happen. Soon afterwards they were leaving the car park in a Seat Leon and an Audi in a quick pursuit, with both Mr. Carwin and another accomplice Rayuz Jamal, I think that's his name, behind the wheel. In his last moments, Hussein made a call to 999, in which he could be heard saying, "I'm being followed by 2 vehicles, they're trying to block me in, they've got balaclavas on. They're trying to ram me off the road, they're trying to kill me, I'm gonna die." A short screen followed when that exactly happened. Eventually, Bakari was sentenced to life in prison, and her mum must serve a minimum of 26 years as well, after being convicted of the same charge. The judge said Bakari's tawdry fame as a social media influence had made her utterly self-obsessed, with a wholly unjustified sense of entitlement and no apparent awareness of the impact you have on others, oblivious to the damage you do. The prosecution were right to categorise this case as cold-blooded murder. See, get your kids off TikTok. But anyway, if they're not on TikTok, surely they'll be on Snapchat instead. Snapchat is the app used to send photos and videos, primarily to disappear after they've been seen. Ideal for when you see a fatty on the bus, or to let someone know you're still waiting outside the place you've agreed to meet. Or if you're feeling particularly mucky, a picture of yourself in the shower. Mind you don't send it to the wrong person though. But like anything, it's used by kids and perverts to send the kind of pictures you wouldn't want going public, which is why there is a rise in explicit photos being sent in schools across the country. It's also a place to show off your blades if you're a drill rapper or a wannabe gangster. It also shows you snaps from people in groups you don't know or want to know, as you can see here. Some interesting, some are of course tribe push stories about mixing and the queer community of course. It has also come under fire for filters, like the ones that made you look East Asian, because apparently no one over there has eyes which are small or at an angle. The Huffington Post has an article by someone with a name made up of leftover Scrabble letters, saying how filters are racist and whitewashed, because in her words, "We shouldn't call a spade," but I'm sure we beg to differ there. They naturally don't have rosy cheeks or small lips, so these filters don't work on them. Ah, such a shame. Maybe they should invent one themselves. After all, they did build everything. Sadly, like TikTok, it's also damaged kids, as they can use it again to carry out murders, such as the case of Ollie Stevens. Ollie Stevens was a 13-year-old boy from Reading who was killed by 2 of his classmates. Ollie and his friends had been the target of harassment via social media by his classmates, including 2 of the boys who would later murder him. The harassment began with taunting and name-calling, but escalated to threats of violence and physical harm. The bullies, so to speak, used social media and instant messaging platforms to spread rumours and lies about Ollie and his friends, which made all the other classmates hate them. In an attempt to confront their tormentors, Ollie and his friends agreed to meet the bullies in a secluded area, after being lured out by the bullies' 14-year-old female friend, who encouraged Ollie to turn up, knowing that the 2 boys were going to murder him. In the end, he was stabbed to death, and the 2 boys, who were 13 and the 14-year-old girl, were all sentenced to life sentences. By life I mean at least 12 years before they're allowed out. So again, keep your kids off Snapchat. There's always Instagram. Instagram, the app where you can just upload pictures of your food, holidays and pets, has certainly changed since it started. For a start now, it's owned by Facebook and also has its own Twitter equivalent called Threads, full of the most boring people alive. Instagram now is mainly influencers, which basically means heavily filtered young women influencing other young women to ditch the 9-to-5 work world and ditch their clothes too. And to go to Dubai and have their photos taken in front of the Burj Khalifa, famous for not having a sewage system. Why do they go there? Well, so they can get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to become the sewage system themselves, with stories coming out how the rich men of Dubai pay the influence to degrade themselves. Whether that be your good old fashioned prostitution, having Tariq Mahmood shit on your chest, or just watch you get rogered by his camel. I wish I was joking, but I'm not. When you see their email addresses in the bios, that's not for promotion. It's so Abdullah can invite you over to Dubai because he needs the toilet. Ah, women, They'll tell you off for leaving the toilet seat up, but are happy to go to a pointless desert city to get shit on. But surely, with all this posing and shitting, they don't have time to commit murder, do they? This is Courtney Clenny, an American Instagram model and more, who was arrested in 2022 after killing her boyfriend. Her parents are also now arrested as well, because they went through his laptop after he died, probably trying to delete evidence, but they accidentally called someone on Instagram, giving it away. Now, when she moved back to her parents after killing her boyfriend, she approached a young teenage boy and asked him to kiss her, and he said no, so she threatened to burn his fucking house down. She was drunk though, so that's okay. Young women on alcohol. Now, she has admitted to the murder, but she says it's in self-defense. So, let's look at her boyfriend, the cryptocurrency trader. Case closed. I'm joking, of course. There's no way she would have needed to defend herself against a crypto trader. So what have we learnt? Well, that kids do not need social media at all. We never had it, and we all turned out okay. Whilst there is a benefit to social media and reaching the masses about our obvious concerns, the chances are that they can see things for themselves in the real world, and by getting them off these apps, they won't be getting the try pushing how everything is fine and to change sex or become an online prostitute. Or turn into a murderer. I'm off to make a drill rap video on Snapchat. Till next time, ta-ta for now. If you enjoyed this video and thought it's slightly less shit than the others, you can always buy us a Cuppa on Ko-fi. The link is in the description below, and thank you in advance if you do.